Welcome to Lunch Break Wisdom. Short ideas from the world's most influential books, designed for a quiet break between work, a commute home, or a moment to think more clearly. Today's episode explores one of the most concise yet profound manuals ever written on the workings of the human mind, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. For many people today, the word yoga immediately evokes images of stretching, flexibility, and physical postures. But Patanjali's Yoga Sutras reveal that yoga in its original form was fundamentally a science of the mind. It was concerned with one central question: why do human beings suffer unnecessarily, and is there a way out? Written over 2,000 years ago, the Yoga Sutras contain fewer than 200 short aphorisms, yet they offer one of history's earliest psychological maps of human flourishing. At the very beginning, Patanjali presents perhaps the most famous statement in the entire text. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. This sentence captures the essence of the entire work. According to Patanjali, most human suffering arises not merely from external circumstances, but from our relationship with our own minds. Thoughts constantly arise, memories surface, worries about the future emerge, desires pull us in one direction, fears push us in another. The mind becomes restless, distracted, compulsive. Patanjali asks, what happens when we are no longer enslaved by every thought that passes through our awareness? The first major insight of the Yoga Sutras is the distinction between awareness and mental activity. Most people assume they are their thoughts. They say, I am anxious, I am angry, I am a failure, I am not good enough. But Patanjali encourages a subtle shift. Rather than identifying completely with thoughts, observe them. Thoughts are events occurring within consciousness. They are not necessarily accurate reflections of reality. This insight has striking parallels with modern psychological approaches, such as mindfulness-based therapies and cognitive behavioral techniques. Learning to observe mental patterns without automatically obeying them creates freedom. Another major concept in the Yoga Sutras involves the 5 afflictions, known as the kleshas. Patanjali argues that these tendencies generate much of human suffering. The first is ignorance, not ignorance as lack of education, but misunderstanding reality, mistaking the temporary for the permanent, the superficial for the essential. The second is ego identification, confusing who we truly are with the roles, labels, and stories we construct. The third is attachment, clinging to experiences we enjoy and demanding that life conform to our preferences. The fourth is aversion, resisting experiences we dislike and allowing fear to govern behavior. The fifth is fear of loss, particularly the fear of death and the ending of familiar identities. These afflictions remain remarkably relevant. Modern society amplifies them constantly. Consumer culture encourages attachment. Social media strengthens ego identification. News cycles intensify fear. The Yoga Sutras invite people to recognize these tendencies rather than unconsciously reinforcing them. Another profound teaching concerns practice and detachment. Patanjali suggests that transformation rests upon 2 complementary principles. The first is consistent effort. Change requires repetition. Meditation practiced occasionally yields limited results. Healthy relationships require ongoing attention. Physical fitness depends upon sustained action. Growth emerges gradually. The second principle is detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means releasing compulsive dependence upon outcomes. Practice diligently, care deeply, yet avoid becoming imprisoned by expectations. Together, these principles create resilience. Effort without attachment prevents both passivity and obsession. The Yoga Sutras also introduce the famous 8 limbs of yoga. These limbs represent a comprehensive framework for human development. The first involves ethical conduct toward others. Truthfulness, non-violence, integrity, moderation, respect for boundaries. The second concerns personal disciplines, contentment, self-reflection, discipline, simplicity. The third is posture. Importantly, physical postures occupy only a small portion of the overall system. Their purpose involves preparing the body to support deeper practices. The fourth is breath regulation. Breathing influences emotional states profoundly. Rapid breathing often accompanies stress. Steady breathing encourages calm. Modern neuroscience increasingly validates this connection. The fifth limb concerns sense withdrawal. In a world saturated with stimulation, this teaching feels particularly relevant. People constantly consume information. Notifications interrupt attention. Entertainment fills silence. Patanjali recognized the importance of periodically turning inward. The remaining limbs involve concentration, meditation, and ultimately states of profound absorption and insight. Together, they describe a path toward increasing freedom and clarity. Another important theme in the Yoga Sutras concerns habit formation. Patanjali recognized that repeated actions strengthen patterns. Modern neuroscience describes neural pathways. Patanjali described impressions left upon consciousness. Either way, the message remains similar. Who people become reflects what they repeatedly practice. Kindness practiced consistently becomes easier. Patience strengthened, repeatedly grows more accessible. Anger rehearsed, habitually becomes automatic. The question arises, what am I training my mind to become? The text also explores the role of suffering as teacher. Many people attempt to eliminate discomfort entirely, yet suffering often reveals attachments, unexamined assumptions, areas requiring growth. Patanjali does not glorify suffering. Rather, he suggests that awareness transforms one's relationship with it. Difficult experiences can become opportunities for wisdom. Another powerful idea involves contentment. Modern economies frequently depend upon dissatisfaction, more possessions, more achievements, more comparison. Patanjali introduces santosha, contentment. Contentment does not eliminate ambition. Instead, it creates a foundation of sufficiency. People may continue pursuing goals while recognizing that worth is not entirely dependent upon attainment. This perspective fosters gratitude. The Yoga Sutras also emphasize self-study. People often understand others better than they understand themselves. They recognize others' patterns while remaining blind to their own. Self-study involves honest observation. What triggers me? What stories dominate my thinking? What habits support flourishing? Which habits diminish it? Without awareness, transformation remains unlikely. Toward the end of the text emerges the concept of liberation. Liberation does not necessarily require withdrawing from society. Rather, it involves freedom from compulsive identification with thoughts, emotions, and conditioned patterns. Life continues, responsibilities remain, relationships persist. Yet inner experience transforms. People respond rather than react. They participate rather than cling. They engage without becoming consumed. Ultimately, the Yoga Sutras endure because they address timeless human concerns. Why is the mind restless? How do habits shape identity? Can people cultivate greater peace? Is freedom possible amidst ordinary life? Patanjali's answer is both challenging and hopeful. Transformation requires effort. Discipline matters. Awareness develops gradually, yet profound change remains possible. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this: most people spend their lives attempting to control the external world while neglecting the internal landscape through which that world is experienced. The Yoga Sutras gently reverse this orientation. Train the mind, cultivate awareness, practice consistently, release unnecessary attachment, because peace may not arise through controlling every circumstance. It may emerge through changing the way we relate to experience itself, and in doing so, people may discover that freedom was never entirely absent. It simply awaited recognition beneath the noise of an untamed mind. In summary, key concepts from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. 1. Yoga is mastery of the mind. Freedom arises through inner clarity. 2. You are not your thoughts. Awareness transcends mental activity. 3. The 5 afflictions: ignorance, ego, attachment, aversion, and fear drive suffering. 4. Practice and detachment. Effort combined with release creates resilience. 5. The 8 limbs of yoga, a holistic path of ethical, physical, and psychological development. 6. Habits shape consciousness. Repetition strengthens patterns. 7. Liberation is inner freedom. Peace emerges through transformed relationship with experience. Everyday takeaways for you. Observe thoughts without automatically believing them. Develop small daily practices that strengthen awareness. Notice attachments that create unnecessary suffering. Use breathing intentionally during stress. Make time for silence and reduced stimulation. Practice contentment alongside ambition. Have you ever noticed how repetitive thoughts shape your mood and behavior? Share your experiences below and recommend future books for lunch break wisdom. Please subscribe and comment.